Rinconada, the area on Earth where people live above the clouds, is the closest thing to the sky. The atmosphere drastically thins at this high altitude of 5,100 meters, 6,700 feet, and residents are only able to breathe with 50% of the normal oxygen levels. Compared to our bodies, theirs have evolved to create twice as many blood cells. Because of the low air pressure, not a single tree can survive on this desolate region. Even the highest summit in the European Alps, Mont Blanc, is 300 meters. Lower than this village in the Peruvian Andes, it is a place far apart from the contemporary world, where danger and crime are constant. There is just one reason why people travel to these hostile places: gold. There were about 50,000 residents here, and amidst the rubbish, all wishing they were wealthy. We are traveling to investigate life at the highest settlement on Earth. In other words, stop, 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 please give me the tube. Oxygen tube, please. Altitude sickness can be brought on by climbing more than 2,000 meters in a single day. We have already quadrupled the elevation level, which is unusual for someone accustomed to sea level, incredibly profound. The initial symptoms are nausea, headache, and dizziness. Shortness of breath may result from coughing. When rapidly worsening altitude sickness causes fluid to build up in the lungs, immediate assistance is essential. It's critical to stay hydrated at high elevations since breathing causes the body to lose around twice as much water. Friends, have a look at this elevation. That cloud is as high as that mountain, thus, we will ascend above the clouds. We're okay, so don't worry about us. As the altitude increases, we will inhale this. From here, nothing happens to people. They have adjusted to this circumstance. We will adjust to the thinner atmosphere layer, which makes it more difficult to breathe in oxygen. It is a mining town to which we are going. The settlement's soil and agricultural water have been tainted by hazardous chemicals used in the gold processing industry, such as cyanide and mercury. We also made sure to pack enough of food and clean drinking water before we set off. This is where we were born. This elevation is something we are used to. Blood oxygen levels should typically range from 95 to 100%. Vital organs suffer when it falls below 80%. I'm attempting to bring my oxygen level back to normal at 72%. But this is only a short-term fix because we're increasing every minute. Tons of rubbish practically spread for miles around the town. Garbage piles have taken the place of nature. As soon as we got there, a foul smell assaulted me. We are in La Rinconada at our hotel. The oxygen tank is being set up for us by our guide. What is this hotel's name? Cielo means sky. First, use the oxygen tank for 5 minutes. Then, take a little pause and use it for 5 more minutes. It takes time for your body to adjust to this level, so take a short break. I felt lightheaded as soon as I got out of the automobile. I felt like I was about to collapse. Quite typical. Here, crimes are rather widespread, including stealing and stabbings. Due to the lack of banks, residents usually carry their cash and gold with them. The police officers are working with us to ensure our safety while we're filming. They will follow us around wherever we go because they are undercover police. Hi there. As a preventative measure against altitude sickness, Marco leads us to coca leaves, a customary practice here. Additionally, there are coca leaves there. This is probably being consumed to treat altitude sickness. On one side of their lips, they chew 3 or 4 leaves. These leaves, which are prohibited in the majority of nations, provide a numbing effect that aids in relaxation. It works well for practically anything. One of the policemen might be able to carry this. After a hectic and exhausting day, we will spend the next day exploring the town. At sunrise, we are in the heart of La Rinconada. We have the police officers with us. There are many local cafes, markets, and people in the area. My body feels as like it hasn't rested for days, even though I just woke up. The nausea and vertigo make it difficult to walk. I have chapped lips and a scratchy throat from the dry air. Garbage mounds in the side streets were increasingly noticeable as the night turned to day. The ground is frozen, despite the fact that it is summer, and we are in the tropics. People are living in metal shacks without heating or electricity in this area, where overnight lows sometimes reach -10 degrees Celsius. These homes lack bathrooms and kitchens. Additionally, thousands of individuals must use the same public restrooms and showers for their own requirements. These hoses bring water from the glaciers above to the town center like a web. Nearly everyone we encounter here is originating from this area, with the hope of becoming wealthy through mining. The majority have traveled from other parts of Peru. The region had a population explosion as a result of the six-fold increase in gold prices between 2001 and 2012. But for the 50,000 residents, the living circumstances are really tough. No attempt has been made to create infrastructure that can accommodate the expanding population. Thousands of individuals dispose of their trash on streets that are identical to dumping grounds. Every day, the government doesn't have any services to collect up these rubbish. Individuals are on their own. The absence of a sewage infrastructure is the most horrifying issue. As it is, wastewater is freely flowing through the streets. This soccer field is all artificial and does not have actual grass because plants, including trees, cannot thrive at this elevation. The village is situated near a mountain known as La Bella Dormiti, or Sleeping Beauty. Do you see it? The body and the face. The woman who is sleeping here is a lady. The mountains form. With its disorganized gray buildings, the town disappears into the sky. Workers travel kilometers uphill each morning to go to the mines. These tunnels have very harsh working conditions and are filled with hazardous gases. Another name for La Rinconada is the Devil's Paradise. This is due to the fact that the town is governed by illicit businesses that own the mines. Near the tunnels, there are placards directing people to shoot anyone entering without authorization. We're determined to enter these mining tunnels despite the warnings. We'll see how they function. According to our friends, we may likely become quite close. Is the woman there visible? The woman, she is indeed a lady up there. They gather the leftovers. Indeed, it is illegal for women to work in mines. Local legend holds that if a woman touches the Sleeping Beauty's gold, it becomes envious and causes calamities like earthquakes. Searching for gold in waste boulders dumped outside the mines is how they make a living. You can tell which kids are looking for gold on the mountain by the frostbite marks on their cheeks. We get lots of attention because we are foreigners with cameras. I then gave Marco my phone so he could record video inside the tunnels. Mountain gods are represented by these statues close to the mining site, which are adorned with dried flowers, fruits, and bottles of alcohol. Employees gather here to offer prayers for success in locating gold and protection from mishaps. Compared to developed nations, incidents like gas poisoning, roof collapses, and explosions happen roughly 25 times more frequently. A corporation will pay about $600 in compensation if a mine worker dies. In La Rinconada, the idea of a regular salary is non-existent. Miners are employed under the antiquated and unlawful Casorio labor system. They spend the entire month working for the corporation for free, and then they receive one day off, bringing home the gold they discovered that day as payment. They might make a substantial sum of money or perhaps get free labor, depending on how well the Casorio day goes. Thus, in theory, their income is based on chance. To reduce this ambiguity, the miners occasionally pocket attractive stones or conceal them in a hidden location. For the Casorio day, I currently have a 65% oxygen level, far less than the typical 95 to 100%. My heart rate should be between 80 and 100, but it's over 120 since I breathe quite quickly. A local is currently taking his oxygen level. His outcomes are far superior to mine. A pulse of 97 and 82% oxygen. I'm exhausted. To acquire some oxygen, I'm returning to the motel. Since there is no heating, I'm keeping my coat on to stay warm. We will now wait a few hours to speak with some mining workers and explore the city's hazardous nightlife. You ought to be aware of the real price of the gold when I'm sleeping. During production, almost 20 tons of trash are produced for every ring that contains 8 grams of gold. An acid mine lake formed at the mountain summit due to the rocks that are mined for their gold. When these iron sulfate-rich rocks are exposed to air and water, they oxidize and take on their rich red hue. The water used by those who live by the creek to grow crops and raise livestock is tainted with cyanide and mercury. The inhabitants only live here for an average of 35 years. However, there are other factors at play as well. Each breath has roughly half as much oxygen at this altitude as it would at sea level. As a result, residents of La Rinconada have twice as dense blood as the normal person, which increases the risk of blood vessel blockages and death. Miners are hurrying to the town center. After a hard day, only a few streets in this town have electricity. Thus the rest of the town is in the dark.